Welcome. My name is Nate Pettinga, and I'm in my 8th year as principal here at Southwest Chicago Christian School in Oak Lawn, where we serve students and families in grades preschool through 8th grade. As you notice, talking from my house, as we are currently serving our students remotely during the COVID-19 pandemic. We wish we could take you on a tour of our campus, but unfortunately, we cannot at this time. So we're hosting this virtual open house to inform you and answer any questions about our school and our program. Also, after I'm done speaking, I'll have a couple videos of our faculty talking more about our program specifically at different levels. But we are excited that you're interested in Southwest Chicago Christian School, where it is our mission and vision to provide a Christ-centered learning community that's intent on restoring God's world. Now, this statement is at the heart of what we do day in and day out, whether our students are physically on campus or learning from a distance that we're doing now. As followers of Christ, being Christ-centered means we're committed to and formed by God's word. We live out his calling, we build community with each other, and living out the hope that we have in Christ. As a school, being a learning community is the core of what we do with students as we engage them in continuous learning, have them ask those questions, reflection, embrace mistakes so that as they learn, we infuse a Christian perspective in all our curriculum while collaborating also with one another. Finally, we are committed to focusing on restoration and redemption as Christ followers. Therefore, we are committed to reach across those boundaries of race, ethnicity, gender, and politics by fostering relationships, acting in love, and working to bring God's kingdom to our communities, both here in the Chicagoland area and globally. And we are devoted to seeking and implementing creative solutions to also care and preserve God's world. At the Oak Lawn campus, we again serve students preschool through 8th grade. This video is really focusing on grades 1 through 8. As a campus, we serve one class per grade level. Our first, second, third, fourth, and fifth graders are located on different parts of our campus, but mainly the 2nd through 5th graders are on the 2nd floor of our main building, while first grade's classroom is in another building with preschool and kindergarten, but they are connected with one another. We do try to strive really to help students learn, and at the core of that, specifically at elementary, is to give developmentally instructional practices and develop those relationships with those students. Our teachers care and get to know those students personally, and also it's really important too, as part of that process, is committed to forming relationships with the parents. And so our elementary teachers, because they have the students most of the day, in regards to other classes they may have, such as music, physical education, computer class, library, Spanish, art, those are all infused into the program as well. There also are times for recess times, snack, and lunch, and we can talk more about what that schedule looks like later in our questions. But I think at the heart of it is that we want to form those relationships. We want to form the relationships between those students and one another, and also have a positive teacher relationship with them. So again, we're glad that you could join us today for our virtual open house. And at this time, we'll share a couple videos from our faculty telling you more about our program.
Southwest Chicago Christian School is a Christ-centered learning community intent on restoring God's world. Over 115 years ago, a group of Dutch immigrants started a Christian day school for their children in Englewood. Over the last 115 years, Southwest has grown and moved, and today we have 3 campuses, a preschool through 8 in Tinley Park, a high school in Palos Heights, and this preschool through 8 campus in Oak Lawn. Families who send their children to Southwest Chicago Christian School believe in a Christ-centered education, but they come from a variety of Christian churches, and although our campus is involved in our community, not all of our students come from Oak Lawn. In fact, many come from Chicago and other area suburbs. Southwest's philosophy of Christian education depends on the overlap of 3 dominant influences in a child's life: home, church, and school. Southwest aims to prepare students spiritually, emotionally, academically, culturally, and physically to serve society and glorify God in all aspects of life. This active philosophy comes out of our Reformed tradition that professes that our entire world belongs to God. So evidence of Him and our call to glorify Him is in all fields of study and life. This means that our textbooks may not be published by Christian publishers, but instead teachers bring this perspective of God's sovereignty and creativity to all fields of study. We've spent some time in recent years clarifying what we want the end result to be for a child who graduates from Southwest Chicago Christian School. We call it the profile of a graduate. It's big thinking, but it's what motivates and inspires all of our interactions with students. The history, future, and legacy of Southwest Chicago Christian Schools is to be followers of Christ, seekers of knowledge, pursuers of justice, and caretakers of creation.
Hi, my name is Becky Shafsma, and I'd like to welcome you to our virtual campus here for Southwest Chicago Christian School. I'm happy to spend this time with you and tell you a little bit more about myself and the school. I am involved in the school on a few different levels, both between being a teacher here, but also having 3 children that are part of this school system. So I have sort of a unique viewpoint here, having my kids involved in it. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I've been teaching 5th grade at Southwest Christian School for 12 years. The Southwest Christian School Association, first, it's made up of 3 different campuses. There are 2 K through 8 buildings. One of them is in Tinley Park and one is in Oak Lawn. And the third one, the high school, is located in Palos Heights. During my time at SCCS, I've been involved, as I said, with all 3 of the locations in various ways. My teaching career first started in the Tinley Park in the year 2000. And after teaching there for 4 years, I stayed at home with my young family. And now that my children are a bit older, they attend that school simply because that's where they started their schooling career, and we live so close to that campus. And then I also have a 16-year-old son who attends the high school. So my 2 kids, I have a son and a daughter who are in 8th grade and in 6th grade in the middle school. And here I've been at the Oak Lawn campus teaching 5th grade for the last 8 years. So as I said, I have the unique perspective of being involved in all 3 schools in the association. My child in the high school, he is at Christian High, and he is involved in multiple learning and athletic opportunities. So he's involved in golf, he's been involved in baseball, he's been involved in football and DECA, just to name a few. And one of the things I love most about Christian High is his dedicated teachers that have really shown him how to navigate through the responsibilities both in and out of the classroom in so many different ways. I'm so grateful for the relationships that he has developed with his teachers and his peers, and most importantly, with God during his years at Christian High. I'm thankful for that time of worship that they set aside each week. And knowing that he's involved in an environment that seeks to know and to honor and to really serve God, it gives me great assurance. So my 2 kids that are in the Tinley Park campus, they have this is just such a benefit because I'm able to know so many of the families that are represented in the SCCS community. So I like being able to collaborate with trusted professionals, both as a parent and as a teacher. It has really helped me to grow in so many different ways. And I truly love all of my kids' teachers. And they're such great positive role models for my kids. I trust them to lead and instruct my son and daughter in spiritual, academic, and social growth. I love that I can see my kids learning in the classroom, but also on the court or on the field or even with their friendships. Knowing that my children are taught from a Reformed Christian perspective allows me to rest assured that my children are going to be ready to see the world through a lens that always keeps God in perspective. So what that means to me is teaching from a Reformed perspective means that I know that my child is being taught as a follower of Christ, that they celebrate the centrality of Christ. Also being part of a Reformed heritage means that they are a seeker of knowledge, that they are engaged in continuous learning with others. That's really important. Another one of the things that we really stress and encourage here is just to pursue pursue justice across the boundaries of race and religion and ethnicity and gender and politics by fostering relationships in love. That's so important. And finally, they work also in being sort of aware, giving an awareness and the caretake of creation. Encouraging my kids and my students to be devoted to caring and preserving God's world. So they can think about how God is actively involved in the world around them. I am assured that that SCCS is a Christ-centered learning community that is intent on restoring God's world. So finally, so both as a parent and then as a teacher, I love that I can help live and teach by Christ's example, that I can boldly talk about Jesus and what he has done for me with my students. I can explain how faith is important to daily living. Helping my students live out their faith is one of the greatest things of teaching at SCCS. I love the community that I work with. Learning to live as Christians, whatever the circumstance is really at the heart of this learning community. So thanks for visiting, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks.
So I'm going to move into the question and answer portion. Nate, can you tell me about the testing requirements for admissions?
Yeah, so testing is not used for whether you are accepted or not. Testing is used as a measure of where the student is at in their learning. And so we use different screening tests when students come in to gauge where that is at, so that we can adequately plan their schedule, provide any supports they may need, and ask the bigger question, would that child be able to be successful at our school based upon what we're able to provide in regards to student supports. Incoming kindergartners do a screening. Normally that's done in April, but due to the remote learning going on, that's kind of in delay right now. It's probably till August. Any incoming first through eighth grader uses a different, first graders use a different tool. Second through eight use a specific tool that is done. Those tests will be done and set up, scheduled as part of the admissions process as when you enroll. But it's done one-on-one as a proctor, and it really looks at their where are they at in their math, reading, and language. And so we want to take a look at that. But again, what our goal is through testing is not to know what they know, but where are they at in their learning, and then we can adequately support them, especially as they transition to school.
Okay. Can you also, Nate, tell us about school uniforms?
We don't have school uniforms. We do have a dress code. Again, it's based upon age appropriateness, but I guess what I would say is modesty is the best policy. We want to make sure that they're not a distraction to their peers in their learning. And so in our handbook, there is a dress code that we follow through, and then we reinforce. But again, we try to make it things that students are easy to wear, but that are appropriate. And then we hold them accountable through that.
Okay, Mrs. Shafsma, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me what specials classes are part of the curriculum and at what grade levels those start?
Sure. So some of the specials in the curriculums include classes like art, computers, gym, music, band, and library, and Spanish. So in elementary school, they have art once a week for an entire semester, and then, or half of the year, and then the second half of the year is replaced with Spanish, and Spanish would be twice a week. Computers happens for the entire year, twice a week, where the students go to a computer teacher and they learn different skills, typing and digital citizenship a lot, and just different skills associated with computers. Gym is for the entire year. That happens also twice a week with Mrs. Nichols. Music is kind of combined with choir now, and there's like a performance piece that comes along with choir and Miss DeYoung. And then the students also are in band. That happens twice a week with Mr. Denman, and band is strongly encouraged in 5th grade, and then kind of proceeded into the middle school as an option. But yes, choir is combined with music class. And then in addition to any classes that happen in school, there are also after-school enrichment opportunities for kids to participate in. So different clubs could be things like chess club or computer animations or candy making or knitting or sewing or
Lego robotics, just to name a few of those.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
Mrs. Kruzik, at what grade level do students begin switching classrooms?
So already in, like Mrs. Shasma mentioned, there are different teachers for all the different specials. So kids do leave their homeroom teacher throughout the week to go to their special teachers. But then in middle school, in 6th grade, students move together, like all the 6th graders move together to see other teachers for their core classes. So 6th graders will see 3 different teachers throughout their day. Mrs. DeKolitz is the homeroom teacher, and then they see Mr. Hilligans for science and social studies, and they see me for Bible. In 7th grade, the same situation where students move through the same 3 teachers, Mrs. DeKolitz, Mr. Hilligans, and myself, and then also in 8th grade. But the students always move as a group to visit those other teachers.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. At what grade level can students play sports and other activities, and what is offered?
Sure. Mrs. Shasma already talked about some of the after-school enrichment opportunities that start already in the lower grades. Band starts in 5th grade and continues as an option through middle school. Sports, the quick answer is start in middle school, but when our numbers are low, 5th graders have been invited to participate in after-school sports. In middle school, well, the sports we offer, that might be interesting. We have a co-ed soccer team, boys and girls volleyball, boys and girls basketball, and track in the spring. There are clubs in the middle school. These are part of their school day. There's a special events club, a math club, intramurals, a chapel praise team. It's part of their school day. But it's something that they get to participate in the life of the school during that time. That's what we offer beyond their core classes.
Okay. Mr. Penninga, back to you. Can you tell me what support services the school offers for students?
Yeah, when you talk about support services, I think it's important that you break it down into different levels. So I'll talk a little bit about how do we support students academically, social, emotionally, any direct student services that we give, and then what do we do with behavior. So I'll start with academics. We do have a teacher called an academic support teacher. We have a full-time teacher on that and also a part-time teacher. Those teachers work with students directly with those teachers, and it looks different at elementary. They come in during their subject time for different things based on a schedule, but those students come in with a learning disability. They help train teachers with accommodations, and or if a student is tested and they need more modification of behavior, the academic support teacher sometimes will pull them out, but we try to have them be part of the classroom as much as possible. Other supports that we give academically for elementary level, we do small group learning opportunities called What I Need groups. Those are about 80 minutes a week, different times of the year, where teachers plan different lessons based on level. So kind of think of it as if you're doing a reading lesson and students could be right at where their level needs to be, or they need to go beyond that because they mastered it, or they need more time and extended practice. That small group learning, the teacher plans those lessons and then they get broken up into smaller groups. So it's in addition to what we do with our curriculum time. In middle school, the academic support service, if a child has a learning disability and needs extended time, they elect out of either band or choir in Spanish. And so it's an extra period a day, basically looking at a study hall. The other support would be there's 4 days a week. At the end of each day, there's a 25-minute time period called Learning Lab. Learning Lab could be where middle school sports or clubs meet, but it also could be an extra study hall that then students can ask questions to various teachers and or use that time for various activity. When you look at social emotional, we use what we call responsive classroom practices. And so we have really looking at how do we build positive community. So our elementary teachers to morning meetings where they do different social activities, gathering activities to build community within the classroom. Middle school has what they call an advisory time. So we break them up based on grade level and gender to build community with that. We also train teachers through that model effective classroom management strategies, so they're able to effectively teach and also manage the students and give appropriate consequences as needed, or use different practices to redirect them or remind them, different things during classroom. But with the social emotional piece, we also have a counselor. So our counselors, they're 2.5 days a week this coming year. And so the counselor gets referred by the teacher or by a parent. She works with students one-on-one or in small groups. So it's important to understand, too, that counselor's not just there if there's a tragedy. Also helps with executive functioning skills, organization, all those different pieces of learning that need to go alongside just by learning content. So that a counselor will also go into classrooms and do group lessons. So she's using a variety of different ways to help support students with that. As a school, we're limited to what we can provide for direct student services, and what I mean by that is occupational therapy, speech, and physical therapy. The only direct student service that we can provide comes through funds through the local school district, public school district, 122. So we do have a speech teacher that comes in for half a day each week on our campus, and then she sees students who have been screened. In the fall, we screen any students that might have a concern or recommended. And if a student does have a speech delay or anything that qualifies any services, that student will receive either one-on-one or in a small group learning. If a student needs extra support in OT or PT, we have to refer those to outside sources because we don't, as a school, be able to provide that resource, and the public school district doesn't provide any funds for that. Lastly, when it comes to behavior, we go back to the responsive classroom tools and strategies that we teach and use throughout the classroom, and we teach the teachers to create the social emotional learning that's already going on. We also have a behavior rubric, and so students, it's a tiered consequence based upon different categories, but the goal with behavior is really trying to teach students through the discipline process so they can better have self-control and be more responsible as understanding not only themselves, but also empathetic toward other students.
If you would like more information, you're welcome to go to our website, swchristian.org. You can also go there if you happen to be ready to apply. We would love to see your application come through. You simply use the account that we provided to you to log in through the website, and using the prompts, you fill out the application and supporting documents. If you don't have an account yet, we would be thrilled to get you one. You can go online again to our website, swchristian.org, and complete an online inquiry form, or you can send us an email since we're all working from home. I would love to give you a phone number, but that's probably not going to help very much right now. If you want to reach the admissions team, we're waiting for your emails. It's admissions@swchristian.org. And if you have questions for the principal or any of our teachers, please email Mr. Pettinga at npettinga, Pettinga, @swchristian.org. Thank you so much. We appreciate everyone participating today.